Welcome to another edition of Don Hammond's Arlington Weekly News. Once again, I'm doing a variety of different character voices until someone complains. Here's the lineup for this week. The news, of course, Community Bulletin Board, and 55 Plus News. We'll also have coverage of the most recent town hall meeting and some on-the-ground reporting. That's the show. Now here's the social media reminder. You can watch us on YouTube at Arlington Weekly News, followed by the number 1, also on Facebook, and you can listen on the radio at WERA 96.7 FM. Now, on to the news.
As of Sunday evening, October 18th, reports show the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Arlington had exceeded 4,300. Regular viewers and listeners will note the intensified increase in our reported case numbers. Governor Ralph Northam has released the following statement, and we quote, "When that test comes back positive, it is frightening. This is a dangerous virus. It's very contagious, and it's stubborn. It's too easy to think, oh, this will never happen to me. But it can. Please take this virus seriously. Please continue to abide by public health guidance, washing hands, wearing masks, and avoiding crowds. This is a marathon, not a sprint, and I know everyone is frustrated. But we're not out of the woods. We are in this together, and that means we must act to protect not just ourselves, but each other." End quote. The Arlington County Board has accepted more than $3 million in additional federal aid to support low to moderate income residents during the COVID-19 pandemic. The aid includes more money for housing vouchers and funding for a range of relief programs to support families and small businesses. According to Arlington County Board Chair Libby Garvey, as the medical and economic emergency caused by COVID-19 continues, more and more families and individuals are facing serious hardship. The aid the board accepted will help thousands of our residents stay in their homes and put food on the table, help those who have lost jobs to get training and find new work, and support our small businesses. The board approved an amended fiscal year 2021 Federal Housing and Urban Development Action Plan for COVID-19 relief. It will provide $2.22 million in funding for 7 local nonprofits to provide housing, food security, job training and placement, and small business retention and support in the coming months. The funding is expected to assist over 4,000 Arlington individuals and families. Among the grantees are the Arlington Food Assistance Center, Arlington Thrive, Doorways for Women and Families, the Legal Aid Justice Center, Northern Virginia Family Services, Real Food for Kids, and Service Source. This is the third round of federal Community Development Block Grant funding that Arlington has received for COVID-19 relief efforts this year.
Also, the board approved and allocated nearly $900,000 in additional HUD funding through December 2020. This was for Section 811 Housing Choice Vouchers. The Federal CARES Act funding will subsidize rent for low-income families in Arlington and help voucher holders who lost their jobs due to the pandemic to pay their rent and/or utilities. The board also accepted a $240,665 grant from the Virginia Community College System. This fund will prevent and/or respond to layoffs from Washington Reagan National Airport. Arlington will administer the grant, which is intended for residents and businesses in Arlington and Alexandria. Arlington's Employment Services will work with airport employers to identify additional support in order to prevent layoffs. It will also offer online training opportunities to those who do lose their jobs. Finally, the board voted unanimously to raise the income cap for the county's grocery card pilot program. The new cap is 200% of the federal poverty level of $26,200 for a family of 4, or $52,400.
The following report is from our friends at Now. A U.S. postal inspector was seen inspecting the drop-off mailboxes outside of the North George Mason Drive post office on Tuesday, October 13th. There have been numerous resident complaints about missing and stolen mail. One tipster said that a thief attempted to cash or deposit more than $35,000 in checks from a business account. Fortunately, the fraud was detected by the bank before losses were incurred. The incident happened after the business mail was dropped off at one of the mailboxes outside the facility. Michael Martell, Public Information Officer for the U.S. Postal Inspection Service, wrote, quote, "If anyone suspects their mail has been stolen or sees suspicious activity near a post office or blue collection box, they can report it to postal inspectors at 1-877-276-2455. That's the news. Now it's time for Community Bulletin Board, or CBB.
Hi, and welcome to CBB. Here's a chance to unplug and join in for an evening of fun activities in the park with Rec on Wheels at Penrose Park. During the first hour, you and your family will get creative with exciting arts and crafts projects. You'll get your wiggles out before bedtime with active movement games during the second hour of the program. Adults must accompany youths under the age of 9 and register adults and children. Please bring a blanket or a towel to sit on. This program is open to all ages but geared toward the ages of 2 to 10. Meet at the pavilion. You can register online or call 703-228-4747. That's activity number 782-006-41. That's on Thursday, October 29th from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock p.m. with the second session going from 5:15 to 6:15 p.m. at Penrose Park, 2200 6th Street South. Next up, teens can join in for classic rec room games like ping pong, pool, air hockey, carom, board games, arts and crafts, and interactive inflatables. Or they can just chill with friends listening to their favorite tunes in the park. You can register online or call 703-228-4747. That's activity number 782-018-55. And it's coming up on Friday, October 30th from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock p.m. at Thomas Jefferson Center grounds, 3501 2nd Street South. Now, if you're in North Arlington, you might want to check out Park Pop-Ups in Bluemont Park. This is a chance for families to join up at the park. You can meet a naturalist or historian at the neighborhood park to discover the nature and history of Arlington. The staff person may bring hands-on learning items, artifacts, or activities. Now, the listing says no registration is needed, but then it says must register children and adults. Call 703-228-4775, and someone there is bound to be able to set you straight. If necessary, you can register online or call 703-228-4747. That's activity number 612750-00. That's also on Friday, October 30th from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock p.m. at Bluemont Park, 601 North Manchester Street. As with most outdoor events, it will be canceled if it's raining. Finally, we have an event called Centipedes, Millipedes, and Woodlouses Oh My. I guess they had to call it something. It's for kids aged 6 to 10. Centipedes, millipedes, and woodlouses all have many more legs than insects. Find out how they're similar and different to each other, and meet them up close. Search the woods for these fascinating creatures. For information, call 703-228-3403. You'll meet at the Gulf Branch Nature Center. Registration is required. You can register online or call 703-228-4747. Activity number is 612820-H. That's on Saturday, October 31st. Yes, Halloween. From 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. at Gulf Branch Nature Center and Park, 3608 North Military Road. Now it's time for 55 Plus News.
Well, first off, we've got an author talk coming up. Former U.S. diplomat Carol Stricker will talk about her new book, Fire, Flood, and the Tank at the Office, Challenges of a Diplomatic Life. It's a virtual event. You can register online or call 703-228-4747, and that's activity number 911-400-19. Now that's on Wednesday, October 28th from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. Next item is called The Two Ann Masons. I'll bet you didn't even know there was even one Ann Mason, at least not to talk about. Well, it turns out that George Mason's mother and wife, both named Ann, helped make their son and husband a man of sterling character and profound intellect. Tom Moncure is a retired university counsel for George Mason University, and he will discuss two of the most fascinating women in Virginia history who remain largely unknown to us. Register online or call 703-228-4747. That's activity number 911-400-10. We all do remember that George Mason was the Bill of Rights guy, right? Well, it's getting colder, but there's still another bike ride coming up. This friendly bike ride features scenic views along the trail in nearby Alexandria. The pace is casual and there will be ample time for socializing with fellow riders. They'll regroup several times to ensure everyone catches up and is safe. Meet in the Bellhaven Park parking lot with free parking. Use the second lot and look for the bikes. Register online or call 703-228-4747. Activity number is 911-700-17. That's on Thursday, October 29th from 11 o'clock a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. at Bellhaven Park, which is located at 6401 George Washington Memorial Parkway in Alexandria, Virginia. Finally, the 55 Plus calendar says that this next event is virtual, but I don't believe it, because the announcement goes on to say, hike the hills and streams of Long Branch. Bring your water bottle and sturdy shoes to explore the Nature Center. That doesn't sound virtual to me. It's coming up on Saturday, October 31st, yes, Halloween, from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock a.m. at Long Branch Nature Center, 625 South Carlin Springs Road. Now, the center itself is temporarily closed, so I guess you'll meet outside. I'd recommend calling ahead on this one. You can register online or call 703-228-4747. Activity number is 902009-3. Well, that's about it for 55 Plus News. Now let's get on to that other town hall report.
Arlington's second town hall meeting in October took place on Friday, October 16th at 12:30 p.m. Attendees included Takis Karatonis, Christian Dorsey, Dr. Ruben Varghese, Dr. Aaron Miller, and Samia Bird, Chief Race and Equity Officer. Mr. Dorsey opened by noting that the case numbers of COVID were rising in the county and the state, and with Halloween and Election Day approaching, citizens make sure that they did not relax in taking precautions. Again, the encouragement was to stay home if possible, wear a mask, and practice social distancing. There was mention of some alternative ways to celebrate Halloween, including costume parades and scavenger hunts. Meanwhile, the positivity rate for COVID is still around 3.4%. Mr. Carantonis stated that the meeting would also address other issues, including stress and equity issues. There is now a county dialogue on race and equity. It includes assessment of current beliefs and how to move forward. Other efforts include changing the county's logo and renaming some of the streets. They mentioned another project called Destination 2027, which was about health equity. This is ongoing. Mr. Dorsey said they were still trying to trace every case of COVID and encouraged citizens to be sure to answer phone calls from contact tracers. Next, Dr. Ruben Varghese provided an overview on health metrics. He noted the community spread is still a problem. There had been some increase in cases during the past week. They then displayed a chart showing COVID cases broken out by race. The chart showed that Hispanics had been disproportionately affected, as well as blacks to a lesser extent. The reasons for this were believed to be embedded in community conditions. A question came up asking for a definition of community transmission. The gist of it is, community transmission describes a situation where it is not possible to pinpoint actual sources of COVID transmission. Next to speak was Samia Bird. She said that there were a lot of known things involving race and equity that had been known for a while, but are now more front and center. Facilitative discussions are desired, and solutions depend on the results of that discussion. Other organizations are being brought in. She encouraged people to take the race and equity assessment. In the end, the information will be taken and used to create a report for the county board. Next to speak was Dr. Aaron Miller. He stated that Governor Ralph Northam has a three-pronged approach at individual, family, and community levels. The first prong is personal protective equipment distribution. They have partnered with public schools to identify people in need, noting that the service industry is at relatively high risk. They have provided information in multiple languages. The second prong is of expanding access to testing. Accordingly, the Arlington Mill walk-up location, which has already had hours of 1 to 5 p.m. from Monday through Friday, has added hours of 1 to 7 p.m. every second Saturday and 8 a.m. to 12 noon every first Saturday. There is no fee for these services. The third prong is expanding testing opportunities via mobile or pop-up testing. These have taken place in Green Valley and Buckingham. Most recently, 294 individuals were tested. There was no need for an appointment, and they used the saliva-based test, which is less distressing than the nasal test. A question came up. While Arlington Mill is free and does not require a referral, is it for the uninsured? What about insured people? Dr. Aaron Miller said yes, Arlington Mill was primarily for uninsured people. The Quincy Street location is for people with insurance. A question came up about updates as the holidays approach. Dr. Miller stressed that a negative test does not convey carte blanche for behavior. Everyone should still maintain 6-foot distances if they are not in their household bubble, that is, with their regular family members. It would still be possible to observe holidays like Thanksgiving, but they would recommend doing it on a smaller scale. Christian Dorsey fielded a question about the public schools, saying that the schools make their own decisions, but they have their own town hall to address those issues. He acknowledged that special needs children, very young students, and English learners would benefit from getting in-person training as soon as possible. Dr. Varghese said the public health department role is the same as before. They want to reduce the risk of exposure, and that the basics apply to Arlington County Public Schools as well as other areas. 6-foot distancing, hand washing, masks, and staying at home when sick. There's a website with information. He also suggested that parents work with their children's doctors for all diseases, not just COVID. The general advice was to get your flu shot promptly if you were insured, and if you are not insured, check with clinics and pharmacies who can also provide them. One problem for regular flu shots is staffing, since COVID has put a strain on the system. A question came up about reopening the public libraries. Mr. Carantonis noted that 140,000 books have actually been distributed since June. As far as opening for browsing, the questions involve safety, staffing, and funding. That capability is not present yet. Another question came up about contact tracing and whether recruits were still needed. Dr. Varghese said the response has been very good, and they are training volunteers now. With some 700 applicants, they have enough for now. A question came up as to why gyms, bars, and restaurants were open while schools were closed. Christian Dorsey indicated that those decisions were made by the state of Virginia, not the county of Arlington. Another question came up about other issues such as emotional, behavioral concerns, depression, and abuse. Certain phone numbers were provided. There's a domestic violence hotline, which is 703-237-0881. The number for Child Protective Services is 703-228-1500. The number for elder abuse is 703-228-1700. For general questions or concerns relating to COVID, there are two numbers, 703-228-7999 and 703-228-1300. A question came up about hotspots for transmission as identified through contact tracing. Dr. Varghese indicated that nursing homes, places where people congregate such as restaurants and bars, and grocery stores tend to be hotspots, especially with the workers at risk. A question came up about people who wish to use the Quincy Street drive-up location but don't have a car. Dr. Aaron Miller said it was better to avoid pedestrians interacting with cars. He mentioned that home test kits are available. The subject of foster care came up. Guidance about COVID has been shared with those staffers. A question came up about a vaccine. When will it be available? What is the deployment plan? Dr. Varghese said that there are several vaccines that are currently under development, but they would watch the FDA for endorsement. He also stressed that the first batch of vaccines would be made available to emergency responders, hospital staff, and other highly at-risk groups. He also noted that most of the vaccines that are currently being developed require 2 doses, with a 28-day separation between the 2 doses, and that the same vaccine must be used for both doses. There has been no official determination about prioritization of administration just yet, but it must be done safely. Right now, the long-term benefits of any vaccine are unknown, so practicing 6-foot distancing and wearing masks will still apply even after one is vaccinated. Dr. Aaron Miller noted that Governor Northam has created a vaccination task force. There are logistical concerns because they will need to set up essentially a new system. Mr. Carantonis read a question about the length of time for test results to come back. Dr. Aaron Miller said, these days the maximum is 3 to 4 days, and some results could be back in as little as 48 hours. Mr. Carantonis said that other answers can be obtained online at arlingtonva.us/COVID-19. He also stated that there will be a special Spanish language town hall meeting on the evening on October 28th. The meeting ended with reminders about social distancing, wearing masks, and maintaining appropriate hygiene. It was a long meeting ending around 1:38 p.m. And that concludes this week's show. We'll be back next week with more news from Arlington. Meanwhile, be careful, be safe, and be well. Now it's time for another installment of Signs of the Times. One favorable sign is the progress being made toward the completion of the addition to the playground at Benjamin Banneker Park. The playground occupies an area that had previously contained a few houses. It's kind of nice to think that a building is now part of a park. Another sign of the times demonstrates the adaptability and flexibility of certain local businesses. Here we have a sign advertising masks for sale. It's impromptu in nature, but it is actually sitting in front of a laundry and dry cleaning service. Elsewhere, we're still in the run-up to Halloween, and some of the displays are really most impressive and elaborate. Here we have 3 different views of a very large display, some of which makes us wonder if we're really even supposed to be watching. Other displays give every indication of being very clearly intended for the little kids. And indeed, in neighborhoods where little kids are plentiful, there are people who are willing to step up and really go the extra mile and spend the extra $1 just to make sure that the kids and young-minded neighbors can enjoy the scenery of sorts while they recreate safely throughout the area. And that wraps it up for the added video portion of Don Hammond's Arlington Weekly News. You're wondering, with all of these Halloween decorations, what we're going to do for next week's show, the actual Halloween show? Just wait and see. We'll see you then.